There are some truly terrifying ski runs spread throughout Europe. These runs are so hard that even experts should think long and hard before hitting them. From suicide slopes to dangerous French passages, here is our list of the hardest and scariest ski runs in Europe. The Swiss Wall. We'll start out with La Chavanette, aka the Swiss Wall. First thing you need to know is that some say it's located in France and others say the scary slope belongs to the Swiss territory. You can reach the Swiss Wall from both Avoriaz in France or Les Crozets and Champéry in Switzerland. But the name suggests that it's located in Switzerland, but we won't be the judge of that. The name is also pretty suggestive of what you'll be up against if you're thinking about taking on this challenge. It's 1 kilometer long with a 330 meter drop and has a maximum inclination of 40 degrees. This slope is not for the faint-hearted and is formally classified outside the regularly difficulty categories. However, that's not all. It's completely covered in moguls, which is quite apparent after the first 100 meter narrow passage. After heavy snowfalls, you will find yourself facing moguls, which can reach the size of a small car. Under windy weather conditions, the slope can get extremely icy, making slipping a real issue. The Swiss Wall is really a battle of endurance and only for those daring to face such a challenge. The Tunnel, France. Alpe d'Huez in the French Alps is famous for its 18 km La Sirène run, which is the longest black run in Europe. Even though this is a serious challenge, we are going to talk about the less famous Le Tunnel at the top of the Alpe d'Huez. To reach this extremely difficult run, you have to ski down the first part of the La Sirène slope, and from here you will then reach the tunnel, which, as the name suggests, is a really long tunnel carved into the mountain that you have to pass through before getting to the serious stuff. Once you're out of the tunnel, you see a vertical slope with bumps like small mountains where you're about to go down. The slope is extremely icy with plenty of moguls of all sizes and a gradient of 35 degrees. This is one of France's steepest mogul fields and is not for everyone. Tortin, Switzerland. One of the toughest runs in Verbier Tortin is another mogul monster. This slope is facing north and tends to be in the shade most of the time, making the terrain very icy for most of the day. It's never groomed and often you will even find a very reassuring sign at the top that says, "Good skiers only." The ride itself is about 1.3 kilometers long and you start at an incredible height of 3,330 meters. The view is actually considered one of the best viewpoints in the Alps, allowing you to see from the Matterhorn all the way to Mont Blanc. However, many fail to take in this view as they prepare themselves for a run that features a lot of steep moguls which will test your fitness, particularly your legs' endurance levels. By the time you're down, you'll be suffering some serious lactic acid buildup in the quads. Harakiri, Austria. The word harakiri is a noun describing the method of taking one's own life practiced in Japan by the samurai class. While this slope in Meyerhofen may not live up to its namesake entirely, it's certainly a very tough run. Unlike most of the other runs on this list, which feature intense drops, lots of moguls or other hazard-like rocks, Harakiri doesn't have any of these features. Instead, it boasts a truly insane gradient of 78%, which is 35 degrees. This classifies it as the steepest groom run in the world. Yes, they actually groom this slope. Grooming this slope is only possible with a winch and a special snow groomer that has a 430 horsepower engine, a weight of 9 tons and a pulling force of 4 tons. One slip on this icy groomer would most likely send a skier tumbling down the length of the run. If you fall, you might as well lay back and enjoy the slide down because the icy terrain and the steepness will make it almost impossible for you to stand back up. If you are looking for a great adrenaline rush, then look no further because we're pretty sure this is as good as it gets. Grand Couloir, France. One of the most intense and infamous runs in all of Europe, Grand Couloir in Courchevel, is no joke. This ungroomed off-piste run is found at 3,100 meters at the top of Saulier. This is a nasty one and only qualifies as an official piste largely because it's accessible from a gondola. The hardest part of this run is the very beginning. There is a very narrow path that snakes from the top of the gondola to the start of the actual run. Be prepared to ride on a quite narrow and undulating passage with quite scary drops on either side of you. The maximum gradient is 35 degrees with a drop of 340 meters. It's not the longest run on this list, but it's definitely one of the toughest slopes in Europe. La Grève, France. La Grève, right next to Les Deux Alpes, is different from the rest of the list since it's actually a tiny resort with almost entirely off-piste terrain. There's only one lift going up, but many routes going down. This is also what makes La Grève so hard to ski. There isn't a boundary rope in sight and it has never been groomed. It really is completely wild terrain. Expect to be challenged by Couloir, powder fields and glaciers with 2,000 meter drops and striking descents. The maximum gradient is 45 degrees and the total length is 2.3 kilometers from top to bottom. La Grève is something of a cult status among French steeps and haven for extreme skiers and those who love the off-piste. It's recommended to go there with a ski instructor and a mountain guide for more security. La Grève is not only difficult, but very dangerous. The Streif, Austria. Considered one of the most dangerous downhill courses in the world, the Streif in Kitzbühel has claimed several ski race wipeouts. It was first raced down in 1937 and is still today a full-blown downhill race run. It's insanely fast, icy and bumpy, which is a test for even the most skilled professional skiers. On race weekends, the 3,300 meter run is closed to the public, but once the race is over, the flatter, safer sections are open to the public. But be warned, they are a sheet of ice, and ordinary skis will not hold an edge on them. The high technicality of the run means skiers face astronomical G-forces with every turn, battling just to stay on the track itself. Imagine reaching speed levels up to 110 kilometers per hour. Many would be insane to take on this challenge. And that's it for today's video. Comment which tough slopes you've tried and don't forget to subscribe for more content in the future.